Boom, baby.
Boom, baby. Boom, baby. We're live. Okay.
Boom. Josh is ready with his sushi headband.
I am. It's my fucking sushi headband, bruh. Let me post this in the mastermind so we can get some people up in here. All right, cool.
Santa Monica is super nice though. Like I've been there, and they have like a bike / skating track that kind of runs. Yeah, it's like
runs
paved.
Along the coast.
Yeah. Like there's sand on either side, but it's paved, and so you see all these like inline skaters and bicyclists and walkers and stuff. It's kind of a cool feature to have at your beach.
Yeah, I've been on one of those, but I did that. I've been in one in South America. It's beautiful.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah. That fucking. It was I did like a 5-hour trip by myself on a shitty bicycle.
Oh, okay.
It was fun.
Did you end at the same place you started? Like a loop?
I went, and it was like along the whole coastline of my province, so I could only go halfway, and I had to come all the way back.
Oh,
to
okay.
my home city.
That's pretty sick, though.
Yeah, I mean, it was sick, but I got completely sunburned from head to fucking toe. It was fun, though.
Yeah. John posted a pic on his Instagram of him by the beach, and he's so red.
In Japan?
Yeah, he's like when he went to
Okinawa, right?
Yeah, he went to Okinawa, and he's like so sunburned in that photo. Dude was having a good old time.
Dude, I gotta go to Japan soon.
We should have a hot dude Tokyo meetup just to see who
can do it.
Who can get there.
Honestly, I'm thinking of doing that going to the future, because we have hot dudes in France, we have hot dudes in Spain, we have hot dudes all over the United States. I could probably do a trip and hit all these places.
Like a global thing.
A hot dude tour.
Yeah. Hot dude couch surfing.
hot dude couch surfing. Hot dude
I love
world
it, bro.
tour.
World tour. I love it. Somebody should do that. Please
I'm
do
going
that.
to do it. I'm going to do it.
Come hang out in San Jose. It'll be a good old time.
I'll go to LA, then I'll go to San Jose, and then I'll jump on a plane to Japan. Gotta visit Josh first, though.
Okay, so Michael, since you weren't here last one, let me show you where you left off. So I'm gonna run this.
I missed the last one too.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we run this. Okay, welcome to Hangman.
You fixed
type enter to continue. So enter. All right, and then I just printed
all the
let me
arrays that
explain.
you wrote.
Let me explain. Okay, so first of all, in the game class, I had a global variable for words, and this was just 25 random words we picked. Okay, so these are going to be the word. This is going to be the word bank that we're going to choose words from, and then I have this alphabet array, and obviously it's the alphabet. So this is going to be what the user is going to be selecting from, and so whenever they try a letter and it doesn't work, I'm going to pop out. Actually, I don't know. Should I pop it out of the array? I'm not that part. I don't know yet. I'm either going to pop it out of the array.
Josh, in Ruby, for syntax, right? Syntax purposes, you have to start an array with a $sign.
So no, that's a global variable. So like it wasn't recognizing it inside these functions. Like so see the start X function. I'm just trying to print out those two arrays. It was giving me some kind of weird error. And then I found out because in order to make a global variable, you can't just give it a name, right? There's no keywords for global, there's no public keyword, right?
There's no public keyword in Ruby, right?
Yeah. So this $sign is like the public keyword, but I'm not sure how the compiler recognizes that. I guess.
Even though you have the function where you're calling those arrays in the same class, you still have to make it a global variable.
Yeah, because they're not in the scope of the function, right? They're
You actually have to put these arrays into the function in order to call them.
Right, unless I make it global, right? Which we can just do with this.
Right, which is much better because you want to call those in different functions.
Right. Okay.
Exactly.
So yeah, they type enter, okay, and then the start. It makes a call to the start. By the way, I forgot. I don't know how. So I think when we made this, when we instantiated a instance of this game class, I had to use the @ symbol too, and also I had to put inside this initialize function. which is weird. I couldn't just go outside in the middle of the class and just type, add game, I think. And it also required this require relative game. So this require relative basically tells the CLI class, like, hey, we're requiring a relative file that's called game. And since it's in the same directory, you don't have to say like what folder it's in, right? So, but if this was like one directory higher, I would need to put like, the directory
So that would
name.
be the equivalent of your import statement in Python.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Because the game, right, is a different file. It's an external file in directory.
Right. And I don't have to say game.rb. I can just say
right,
game.
You just say game. Right.
Yeah.
Is that require directive something you could put outside of your class definition at the top of the file?
Yeah, do you have to put it inside the class?
Let's try it.
Like,
I think it was because
I think you could put it outside. Because like you could do that in Python.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. CLS. All right.
Yeah.
So far work.
And so, yeah, Josh, why don't you declare your dictionary and your set of letters as a instance variable with the @ symbol?
Inside of here?
No. In your game.rb file. So you have words and you have alphabet.
I thought we were gonna go with alf.
Yeah, I thought it was alf.
Yeah, can we put it out? Make it alf.
I think that's okay to do. Is that okay to do? Alf?
Yeah.
Okay. We can do alf.
Just shorter the better. Less is more. Less is more. That's the key.
Less is more.
As long as we know what it means. Okay, alf. Okay. What do you want me to do? Make them put an @ sign in front of them?
Instance variables of your game class. Yeah.
Okay, so
So
what do I
replace
do
that $sign with @ I think.
So what's the difference between an instance variable and a global variable?
Let's see here.
That works. Let's see.
Maybe that's not what you want to do. Let's see.
Less up. Let's see.
Less.
Well, what's the difference, Mike?
But between a global variable in the context of a class definition usually means like a class variable or a static variable, which means that in order to access that variable, you don't have to do it through an instantiated instance of the class. You can just refer to the class name dot.
Correctly.
Yeah.
You don't have to make a new instance.
Mm-hmm.
You're calling it in a different function within the class.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, it didn't work, so I had to change it back.
What do you mean it didn't work?
It didn't work.
Just putting @ in front. Just putting @ in front of it didn't.
Are you sure that's the right
Sure.
syntax for Ruby?
Yeah. But replace the $ words with @ words, and then in your start x. Well, first off, what is start x?
That's the start of the
game.
That's the function it's called when the game is started.
That's supposed to initialize the game.
Yeah, and I guess we're gonna put the game logic inside of here too.
So why don't you use does Ruby have a dedicated class initializer method that you can use instead of something called I think if you have a method called initialize in Ruby, that should work as the class constructor.
Okay, so let's
see.
See.
You would have def initialize.
I think so because that's what we're doing in the CLI. So let's see. Let's say def.
Fido's still at work.
Yeah, he is. Initialize. And we'll say end. Okay, and then I can just maybe say take these guys in here.
Well, not necessarily. It depends on what you want, right? So here's the deal. You have a hard-coded dictionary of words, right?
Yes.
That dictionary, all of the members in that dictionary aren't dependent on any particular instance of game. It's a fixed dictionary. So words and alf, because they're static, those can be class variables, right? Those can be basically static variables. It doesn't matter which instance of game we're talking about or that we're using. Those values are always going to be the same. And so what that means is when we instantiate 100 instances of game, we don't have 100 copies of words and alf in memory. We only need one copy.
Okay, so what do we do? Do we not?
So what you do is you Google search Ruby class static variable and see what the internet says.
Okay, let's see.
It says @@. So you want 2 @ symbols. We are.
So if you don't do that, is that what a memory leak is? Right,
Well,
when you're using too much.
Yeah. So usually, that wouldn't be considered a leak. It would be an inefficient use of memory. A leak would be an example of a time when you allocate some memory to store a value for a variable. And then at some point that variable, you basically exit that variable's scope. So you could never reference that variable again if you wanted to, but the allocated memory is still taking up space in memory. So for example, if you're writing a C program and you instantiate a new C++ class using the new keyword, that's going to allocate enough memory in the heap to store a new instance of your class. But if you never delete that class instance when you're done using it,
it's going to take
the runtime won't know that you don't need this anymore. So that will always take up memory until your program ends. And so that would be an example of a memory leak. Yeah. So if you had every instance of your game class allocating memory to store a copy of the dictionary, that would be a bad use of memory, but I wouldn't call it a leak so much as just bad design.
Right. Okay.
Because you could just, like, if you wanted to dice this up more, you could define a dictionary class that has like one static method called like get dictionary that returns an array of words. Right. And then every instance of your game class, when it boots up, basically just calls dictionary.getWords, and maybe it stores a reference to that. Yeah.
Right, without having to make continuous copies, which is the problem you're pointing out.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, so if Josh is using this at syntax, that tells Ruby, hey, this is a static class variable, so don't give each instance a copy of it.
Right.
It's just going to exist in one place in memory and one place only when the Ruby program starts to run.
Gotcha.
You are now listening to Makarosu 8299.
So, Josh, when we create a new game instance, what parameters do we want to pass to game? Is there anything that we as the caller want control over? Or are we going to leave all of the behavior up to the instance to determine, right?
I think the game logic should go in start X.
So why?
You're going to put everything into start X though?
Mm-hmm. I don't think it's going to be that much.
So why are you calling it start X? Because as somebody who wasn't there when you wrote this function, I have no idea what that's supposed to mean or supposed to do.
It's all Aurelian's fault, actually, because it was his idea to call it start X. See, Aurelian,
it's just okay. In Linux, right there's a lot of programs that start instances of
let's just say start game.
Certain modules of the Linux kernel start with start X. So that's the first thing that came to my mind when he said, "Give me something, give me the name of a function that will start this, initialize this game." Right? For example,
yeah.
The fuck is it called? The Xorg, right? That the default desktop manager for most Linux distributions is called Xorg, and then to initialize Xorg, like from the console.
What's up, Brent? What's up, Tom Bombadil?
You throw in start X, right?
Okay.
So I'm basically borrowing a term from Linux.
So you're saying start X is a system call in Linux?
Yes.
But still, let's just call it something more like more.
But here's the thing, guys. After you instantiate an instance of game, do you honestly need to like wait any time or control when the game technically initializes, or can you just rely on the built-in initialize method to do that work for you?
Wait. I'm still on the whole like you don't have a problem with it being called start X, right?
No. My question is, so you have some initialization code.
Right.
When you create a new instance of game, you want that code to run so that your game instance is in its initialized state, right?
Right.
So if you have a Ruby class and you have a method on the class called initialize, Ruby is automatically going to run that method for you anytime you instantiate an instance of that class. So if you have some arbitrary instantiation code that you want to run, why not put that in the body of your initialize method? That way you don't need to write like new, game equals new game, game dot start X. You can just say game equals new game, and bam, it's initialized.
Okay. So are we gonna do that in CLI then?
What do you mean? Do what in CLI?
So
your goal with a game class is, it doesn't matter who's using it. It could be CLI, it could be somebody else. When you create a new instance, your expectation is that as soon as it's created, it's in whatever state you expect to be its beginning state or its initialized state, right? Any setup that you have to do, any initialization based on constructor parameters that you pass in to customize the way that the game works, etc., right? You want that to be done simply because you've instantiated it, not because you've explicitly called some setup
instantiating method. It out, not inside the game class though, right? Like you're instantiating it in whatever class that you need it access to it. Right?
Yeah, okay. Basically when you have variable equals new instance, by the time that line executes, you want that instance to be initialized. Okay.
So are you saying we need to move? Okay, so I have it called in the CLI initialize. I'm making a new instance of it. So should we move these?
No, because your at words and at alf
will let you call it.
Those are not specific to any one instance of game. So let's say
leave them externally.
Yeah,
you want them to in different functions.
Yes, yeah. You're not going to end up with 100 different instances of game with 100 different versions of words or 100 different versions of alf. You're going to you still have the same dictionary. It's static. It doesn't change, which means it doesn't matter what instance of game we're running. It's all of those instances. If you had multiple instances, are going to point to the same the same words set in memory or the same alf set in memory. But you could have a design where maybe you want to pass a custom words list to every instance of game, right? In which case that actually would be stored as an instance variable. But it sounds like what you guys want is for this particular program, you're never going to have multiple instances of game running, right? You're only ever really going to have one game instance running. So it's like you can treat it like a singleton. So you might as well treat words and alf as static class members.
Okay.
So here, you shouldn't need like puts calls. I don't know exactly what those were doing in the first place, but you shouldn't need them here. I guess you were just logging them, right? In start X.
Hold on. So you said inside. Yeah. I was just okay. So the reason why that's happening is because the debugger still isn't working in any IDE that I can get. So the only way I can like see if things are working right is by using print statements. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I would do is I would take those two puts lines, 19 and 20. I would move them into the body of your initialize method. You shouldn't need start X at that point because your initialize method is responsible for setting up the state of your game before a user makes their first guess.
So instead of initialize, just call it IN.
I think it has to be initialized though.
In it.
Because initialize acts as a constructor for Ruby, right?
Yeah. It's like a special keyword.
Yeah, it is.
It's a special keyword in Ruby. That's why. Okay.
Let's see. Ruby.
Yeah. So this would be like underscore init in Python. Yeah. So we have to call it that.
Okay, I get it.
So for example, like you might decide as the class designer, as the API designer, that there are certain parameters that you want to control whenever you create a new game instance. So for example, you might want to control how many limbs does the hangman have for this game, right? Maybe you don't want it to be static. Maybe you want like the user to decide or something like that. So that could become an argument to your constructor.
Okay.
So just like they have name as an argument here for their person class, you might have number of limbs. You might have, maybe you want to pass a custom alphabet. So you could use this game. You could use this game for like the Arabic alphabet, for example.
Right.
Okay.
Man,
Okay.
Michael, I hope to get on your level one day, man.
You will, 100%, man.
Do you think I need a comment?
Don't even sweat it. You're exactly where you should be. You're in the right company.
Yep.
Do you think I need a comment for this function? Probably not. Huh?
Why do you need to comment a constructor?
Yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. Okay,
That's your comment, Josh.
Let's do. Okay, so now, all right, we have the words array, we have alphabet array. Now we need some actual logic to mimic a hangman being played. So the user.
What do you mean mimic a hangman?
Well, to code hangman, right?
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know how hangman works.
So imagine this, your class instance, your game variable. Imagine somebody else like a CLI class using it, right? So what's the first thing it does? It instantiates it, right?
Yes.
And so the game class is responsible for setting any settings it needs to set, right? And then after some arbitrary amount of time, what's the next way that your CLI is going to interact with this game object? What's it going to do?
After we instantiate it, it's going to, I guess, get a call back from. I don't know. Is it going to interact with it after that? Because then we can just call win and death after that, right? Inside of here.
Why? Okay, so here's a question. Why do you have a method in your game class called win? Who decides whether or not the player won? The person using your game class or the game class itself?
The game class is going to decide that.
Right. So why is somebody calling game.win when they're not the ones deciding who when someone wins?
I was going to call that inside the logic for the game whenever they won, and I was just going to put a congratulations. I mean, it's not really necessary. You can just put that print there anyway. But what I wanted to do was I wanted to call that win function if they won, and then I wanted to call this initialized game function from CLI inside of here when they won, because I wanted them to be able to play again.
So what I would do is I would not have your game class output anything to standard output. No, because that you're in this case, this is like a command line program, right? And so
all that should be done in CLI, is what you're saying?
Yeah. Imagine game.rb is like your server program. There's no screen involved.
The game logic is going to go inside of game class, so correct?
Yeah, but your game logic has nothing to do with print statements. All of that is for display purposes, so a human can play your game.
Okay, so then let's throw these guys in here. I don't really know.
That's perfect.
Functions later, we can figure out what they can do, what we can do when they win or they die.
Yeah.
Whenever we get to it.
Yeah. So your game function really only needs one method, right? After the constructor, it needs one method, right?
Okay.
And that's make guess. That's it.
And is that handling all the logic from?
It is. So,
Okay.
So your game, remember we wrote this graph out, right? And your game is the state machine. It can go from one state to another, right? Over the course of time, as your user make guesses, it's always going to start in a make guess state, or right? At some point in time, it's going to either enter a win state or a death state, right?
Yes.
So once it enters one of those two states, there's nothing that a caller can do to make it move into some other state, unless you implement like a reset method, right? Which would basically just kind of call the constructor again. It would just reset everything in your game. So you could recycle that object instead of creating a new one, right? So your game's initialize method should set an initial state that it's in, right? You could do that by storing a state variable, like a variable, an instance property called state, or you could just deduce what state it's in based on some other variable. So for example, when you initialize your game, you're setting an initial number of guesses or tries, right?
So we need a variable for that number of guesses in, right? So how many guesses do you get in Hangman? Is it per size of the word or what? Oh, also, before we answer that question, let me tell you this piece of information because it might be helpful to you. So we have 25 words, right? The first 5 are 3 letters. The second 5 are 4 letters.
Yep.
And then we increment to there until we get to 25. So the last 5 are 7 letters. And my idea was like there's hard words, there's intermediate words, and there's easy words, right?
Yep.
So should we just have 3 guesses for all hard, intermediate, and easy, or like what?
Let me ask you something. When you start a new game of Hangman, right? Doesn't matter how long the word is. You make a guess and it's wrong. What happens to your Hangman?
He gets hung.
No,
What part of him?
a part of it is
Well,
added.
oh, you're not talking about
So
when
in Hangman, a new part is
when
added
the user
each time.
loses. So like, yeah, then he loses a limb for the first.
Yeah. So how many limbs are on your Hangman?
4. So number of guesses.
4?
Yeah.
So when you start a game, is his head and his spine already
Isn't
there?
it 6? It's leg. It's
I don't know.
legs.
I don't know how to play Hangman, so y'all tell me.
I think-
Josh,
I
you've
think
never
so.
played Hangman, man?
Jesus.
No,
I think
I haven't.
you need
I really
to pull up
haven't.
a YouTube video that explains
No,
it.
no, we'll play.
No, I wanted you guys to
right
walk me
now.
through it. I want to know Hangman.
No. We'll play Hangman right now. I have a piece of paper and I'm gonna have you guess.
So do you
Yeah,
get?
yeah.
Do you get?
Josh,
Do you get,
play Aurelian's game so that you understand what you're coding.
do you get arms, legs, and your neck? Is a neck
All right,
a limb?
all right,
I mean, a neck's
Josh.
not really a limb, is it? Is it?
All right, it's 6 to 8 letter word. Start guessing.
Hold on. Let's just do this. Let's do it on the stream. Hangman game. Okay. Let's pull it up. Cool math games. I think I looked at this.
Come on, man. I want to give you I want to see if I can make one.
Let's see. Okay. This is instructions. I don't want to see instructions. I want to play the fucking game, homie. Oops, I said a bad word. All right, it's all over.
Oh no, dude.
All over.
Hold on. I got one. I'm gonna make a game and I'm gonna send you the link. You're gonna play it, all right?
Okay. What about Hangman Flash game? Can you
All right,
just-
Josh. Here, I got it. I got you. I'm gonna
Games
send
to
it-
learn English.
I'm gonna send it to you via Telegram.
What is this? This is not Hangman. What the fuck is this? What is this?
You're picking a topic. Pick countries.
Okay. I'm picking a
Down,
topic.
down. Pick countries.
Josh, I made one.
Hold on. Let's do this one.
That
Don't look at yours.
that one.
Okay, time 2 seconds. Score. Oh, they're recording my seconds. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, whatever. L. Okay.
Oh, no. You got the legs.
Let's try vowel. E. Oh, we got a vowel. I before
Ireland.
E, after C.
Guess
No.
Ireland.
No, it's not Ireland.
I.
How is it not Ireland?
L
Well,
A.
yeah, actually, it is Ireland.
I.
It could be.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's not.
No, it's not.
I guess that one though. Okay.
Go D. Go D.
Palestine.
D.
No, it's not that.
No, it's not Palestine. D.
Oh,
Ooh, Ostia.
Oh, baby, you're
Uh,
losing this game.
Go with
This
P.
is a,
P. It cannot be Q. Go with vowels first. You always go with vowels.
Yeah.
yeah. So let's
so
do
that's
O.
A-E-I-O-U, right?
Oh shit.
It didn't guess letter.
Yeah.
It didn't draw another.
What happened to your man?
I don't know.
He just got lucky.
Yeah, I guess so. Error. Sorry. A B C D A E I O N
O-U.
O U and sometimes Y. Where's you?
S
Here
or
you go.
T.
I like. Oh, I guess you can use all the vowels without getting penalized. Yeah, I guess you can use
Oh,
vowels.
shit.
without getting
Amelia?
penalized.
No.
R M.
Try R. There you go.
Come on, guys. We know. Come on, guys.
America.
We know what country it is now.
America. It is
Come
America.
on, brother.
Fuck, it's
Come on, brother. God dang it.
America. It's America.
I gotta lose though. I gotta
Who
lose.
dang.
Let me see. All right, so that's wait, hold on. Fuck. Let's go back.
That's the
Alright.
longest
Can you play
spine I've
mine?
ever seen.
Just play mine.
Okay, so let's get one wrong.
Oh, this is
All
all
right, so is
countries.
that both legs or is that one leg?
That's
It looks like
2
both.
legs,
Okay, so that's one
Legs.
try.
but it's one try.
All right, that's 2. 3.
This is the weirdest looking hangman. What
Oh,
is
so that was the
What is that?
hanging prop first, and that's
Oh,
the head.
it starts with the hanging prop.
All right, this
Oh,
is like
okay.
is that kosher?
No, that doesn't seem like the typical
Like-
hangman.
No.
I'm frozen.
Usually, typical hangman, you already draw out the hanging prop.
Yeah.
Try P.
Am I back? I froze. Am I back?
We can hear you.
Yes, you're here. You're still
Okay.
here.
Let's see. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4.
I didn't know this was countries.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right.
He died.
He died. Rest in peace.
Rip.
Okay. So are we going with? Are we gonna go with 9 then?
You're not gonna play mine?
Okay. Where's yours? Is it different?
It's in Telegram.
Okay. Okay. Let's see. All right. Okay. So this already has the prop. Okay.
This is much.
So let's see.
Give me your best shot.
All right. 1, 2,
Is this a country?
No.
3,
It's just a word?
4, 5, 6. Okay. So head,
That was my next guess.
right arm, left arm,
Totally, Mike. Totally.
torso, right leg, left leg. So that's 7.
7.
That's 7. Okay. So let's see.
So
I'm disappointed.
see.
wait, what's this? There's 2 legs. There's 2 arms. There's a head.
A torso and a head.
There's a torso.
and then 2
That's
eyes
6
and
though.
mouth.
What? Do you have to do the face too?
Well, I do.
Yeah, his head with his
Okay,
head
man.
counted as 1. See, that's why I don't understand. I was like, the fuck? Like, that's not a limb.
So it's head, torso, right leg, left leg,
Mm-hmm.
left
Right
arm,
there.
right arm, and then that's it. And then the face is optional. Or if you want to take it a step further, you put clothes in the stick now. That's what I used to do in grade school. I remember
Okay,
in grade
so we
school,
have-
I used to like get obscure names of cities from antiquity and then use that for hangman.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we have number of guesses equals 7. Okay.
So you need to know for this particular game instance what the word is that's being guessed.
Yes. So
Well, it has to be one of the words from the array.
right. So
Sure.
what I was gonna do is I was gonna do like a for loop, and I was gonna
And
stop
then a
it
math
at like
function to kind of grab.
I was gonna do it like math.random, and then like I'm pretty sure you can do some logic to make math.random be less than 25, like the outcome of math.random. So like
So what is Ruby's random function? Like what random
question.
module functions do we have access to?
Math.random.
See, do we have a math random? I'm sure we do. If not, then Ruby is not as good as they said it was. All right, generating random numbers in Ruby. Let's see. Okay. So rand.
Rand.
All right, so it takes a parameter, and I guess let's see.
Mhm.
To get an integer, you'll pass the integer to the function. The function will return a random integer value that is greater than or equal to 0, and less than the integer passed to the function. So we can say rand 25.
So you want the length of your array. So you'll always have an index between 0 and 24.
We're gonna do something like rand and rand, and then we're gonna be like at.
Hold up. Is this is something you initialize, right? Because your secret word is going to be specific to your instance.
Okay. Yeah. No,
To
I
the
was
class.
just writing the code out here to see what. How can we find the length of the array?
Good question.
0, 1, 2.
The dot operator does nothing in Ruby. So like, what am I doing with that? Let's
Then
see.
again, that could just be your editor, Josh.
Yeah, you're right. Of array.
What the hell?
Ruby length of
Doesn't
an
make
array.
any sense. Why would they? What? You guys know about the this is off topic, but the UN Security Council, which is basically like the big 5 of the world.
Okay, go on.
That's like China, France,
Germany.
Russia, the United Kingdom, or the United States.
Mhm. What about those fuckers?
For some reason, they added Kenya, India, Mexico, Ireland, and Norway. India, I get, but the others I don't understand.
Okay.
Hmm.
They can suck on my toe jam. Fluke those guys. Can't use curse words anymore. Sorry, fluke those guys. All right, hold on one second, guys, to the chat. Max says, what's up, Brent? What's up, Chris Baker? Episode 2 has technical issues. Joshua wasn't able to upload to YouTube. Half truth. Yes, it's very halfway true.
Is this episode 3?
Had copyright problems. This is episode 3, but it's technically 4 because we started at 0, right? So, yes. What's up, everybody watching? Thank you for enjoying our fuckery. Okay, so we have length returns the number of the elements in itself. Okay, this is too much. I need to go to.
It's a property, Josh. You call dot length.
Yeah. So why does the dot operator? I mean, is it my IntelliSense that shitty?
Yeah, your IntelliSense is that shitty.
It is length. It is just like everything else. Jesus, are you serious?
Your life is a lie.
Wow.
Okay, let's see. Let's try that. Let me actually move. Let me move this in here, and then let's put that inside of here. So let's make sure that prints out right. I guess we don't need to see these two anymore because we've already seen them. We know that they're fine. Clear up some white space. All right, boom, baby, let's run it. All right, so compile, run. Welcome to Hangman, and then we have our beautiful, glorious stick figure Hangman. Push, type enter. Enter. Okay, so let's see. We undefined method start X. That's because we no longer have start X. So we can just say game. I can't call that because it's a constructor, right? Right?
You can't call what?
Initialize. I have to put that in game and make guess then. Okay.
No. Whoa. Slow down. You only have to pick your secret word once. In your design of the game class, the game is going to be responsible for picking it. So you just need to make sure that your game has picked a secret word and stored it in an instance variable as part of its initialize routine.
Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to make sure. I'm just trying to fuck. I didn't even do it right, did I? I'm trying to make sure that this rand words.length gives us the right outcome because we don't have a debugger, remember? So I have to put what I meant to do puts, and I meant to put this in a puts.
But why put that in make guess?
Because I can't call, like, look over here. I can't call. That's what I was talking about. I can't call initialize.
You already have in your CLI initialize method. You have game equals game.new.
Okay, so how can I?
New is going to implicitly call your initialize method because game is a class and it has an initialize method. You're not responsible for explicitly calling .initialize. Ruby's going to do that for you.
Okay, so then in that case, can I just put this in here and then it'll...
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, in theory, that's how this should all work.
Okay, let's see.
Fido says set math random to an index within the array of words.
Set math random to an index of the array of words. Yeah, so we're going to use math random and then we're going to do a for, and for the index, we were going to end it at whatever the outcome of math. Plus, we need to give it the parameter of 20. Okay, so it didn't print it out.
Yeah, well, sure. You don't have a print statement, Josh. You just have a rand statement.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, you're right, baby. You right, baby. Shit. All right, let's put that in the puts. Put it in the puts. Now let's try it again.
Shit.
Okay, enter, my lord. All right, we already have it actually in when the initialize, so 21. You're right. Sweet. That's fucking awesome, actually.
So you need an instance variable, which is just going to be one @, and it's going to store secret word. And that's going to be equal to @words index of your random index.
Hold on. You bleeped me there. Could you repeat? So wait,
what you want me to, Josh?
Can I subscribe? Can I subscribe to text message updates, please?
Yeah, you were so gonna get spammed.
Okay. All right. What am I about to do?
Okay, so you have 2 steps, right? Here, first you need to pick a valid random index. Then you need to store the word at that index in your dictionary to an instance variable called secret word.
Okay. So first we need to make secret word, and I guess we need to just instantiate. We just need to instantiate it. We don't need to assign it anything, right? So let's just call it at I don't need to use the I don't need to use what this isn't camel case. This is for a static variable. I don't need to use caps and underscores, so we just need to call it secret word. So we'll just call it.
So that's entirely conventional. So for example, words, alf, and num of guesses are all static, but you just happen to arbitrarily make num of guesses all caps.
Yeah, right. Because I wanted to just, yeah, these are static actually. So let's actually, I would like to keep them like that. So let's do that. Everybody okay with that? ALPH, right? Yes. Okay. Alf, words, number of guesses, and we'll call this but this is not going to be static because this is going to change, right? Yeah.
Yep.
So we'll just call
So
it
how many @ signs do you have?
2. So I don't need that. I need 1.
1.
Right. And what text case should we use? Should we just use like Pascal like this, or do camel? Should we do secret word? Capital secret word? What do you want to do? What you think, baby? What we doing, baby? Executive decision?
I mean, if I had to vote, I would say you want camel case starting with a lowercase letter for instance variables.
Let's do it then, baby.
Here's the thing, though. You could have a instance variable that is not static, that is also constant, right? So an example of that would be a value that is specific to the instance that gets passed in through the constructor from your caller, but never changes. So for example, if you were to make num of guesses an instance variable and pass it through your initialize function as an argument, that num of guesses would never change throughout the lifetime of that game instance, but it wouldn't be static because it would still be unique to the instance.
Okay. 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 Let's actually assign it to 0 before we do any of that, just in case. Just to avoid some sort of error in the future.
Like what?
For whatever crazy reason, I guess we couldn't, if the function that we're going to make, which creates the secret word index number, doesn't execute, which it should execute always, no matter what. But
yeah, who's responsible for not accessing the secret word instance variable before it's set?
Who is responsible?
Yeah.
Who is responsible for not accessing the secret word
until it has a value?
CLI.
No, you are the programmer.
The user? Oh, okay.
Yeah, you.
Okay. So let me see. Hold on. How to initialize variable Ruby without a sign. That was a terrible way to search. All right.
I'm gonna look at what's going on in the chat. Oh, we got voice my ambition. I think that's Jacob popping in saying what to do.
Yeah, Jacob, ask us or voice my ambition. Is that Jacob? What makes you think it's Jacob?
I think it's Trophy Dolphin, but I could be wrong.
Yo, voice my ambitions. Who you is, son? Are you Jacob?
Can put if you're Jacob, put the word ketchup into chat so we know it's you and not someone else.
Is that the keyword? Is that the secret word, ketchup?
That's the secret word.
Oh, that is him because I think he pinged me on telly.
He can join the Zoom if he wants to.
Yeah, Jacob.
I don't know how many people we can support.
Okay, it's Jacob. Yeah, Jacob, if you want to come in, look in the mastermind.
I know he has a mic and a webcam.
Look in the mastermind. We posted a link in the Facebook for the Zoom if you want to come in. If not, look, I think I have it. Un momento. Why did the music stopped? Video pause. Continue watching. Yes. All right. Let's see. What's your channel? Damn, he found my channel without me having to tell him. Sick, Rob. Okay. Now let's type this guy. Let's copy. Here you go, Jacob. All right. Check Telegram, Jacob. Check our little coding channel from like 6 months ago. Okay, back to variables, constants, literals. Okay, so variables, We don't need to read that. Okay, so let's see. We have a global variable equals 10. Okay, so that's, I mean, they're still assigning it. So let's see, how can we get this? Okay. Let's see. So here, so if you think of this as a constructor, whenever someone creates an instance of customer, they can give it an ID, a name, and an address. Okay, and then we can just say this is our ID, our name, our address. This is also relevant to what we're doing. Looks like they're doing what I wanted to do, setting it to 0. What about this? Actually, let me see. A loop. For loop, Ruby. We need to know that too. That's going to be important. So let's see. For loop, Ruby. Ruby loops, tutorials. While condition do. Okay. So let's see. While I is less than number 2. Is there no for loop though? That's just a while loop. Really, do you know about for loops yet, man?
Yes, kind of.
Okay, so a for loop, you started at a number, you tell it a number at which to end to, okay, and then you tell it to either increase the number that you're. So let's say you start at 1, you want it to end at 10. You tell it start at 1, end at 10, and then you can say increase by 1 or
increase by 1, and it'll just go on.
Right,
like
so,
in the Commodore 64.
Decrease by 1. And a while loop is just basically
it's like I've made a while loop before in Python.
Yeah,
it's like while true.
Yeah, you can just say while true
on and on and on with that end.
While 1 is while 1 is greater than 0, whatever, that would always be true. What about 4? Let's see, 4. Ruby 4 statement. Okay, for variable for I and 0.5. Okay, so that's what we can do. We have to create the I from the random. Okay.
Hey Josh.
Yes.
Why are you using a for loop?
I'm thinking ahead. I'm thinking about trying to make the find the random number to get the random number.
What are you talking? Whoa.
Hold on.
You have a built-in Ruby function. You give it a max limit. It gives you back a number between 0 and that number minus 1.
You're right. We don't.
You store that as an index, and then you index into your words array with that index. That gives you a word.
Puts rand. What was I doing this for? Rand at words that length. Who just left? Fido. Get out of here, Fido.
Jacob says it was autocorrect. I don't believe you. I still think you're ADJ. But you should join join the Zoom call so you can prove me wrong.
Rand at words that length. Okay, so let me wait. So why are we not initializing? Why are we not assigning this to 0? Do you want to do that logic inside of here, outside in the and not in a function?
So here's the thing. So you have at secret word equals 0 because you want to basically say, hey, this game class has a property called secret word, but until an instance is created, we don't know what that word is, right? So we have this little temporary value, right?
Yes.
So could you just not have any declaration on line 15 and then inside your initialize just have like self.secret word equals blah, blah, blah. And just
I think so, but I don't know how to just instantiate and not assign a variable in Ruby. So maybe
what I'm saying is I don't think you have to instantiate and not assign. I'm saying can't you just declare when you're ready to set it to an actual word? That's the point when you declare this as an instance variable. Can you do that? So can you go back to that example you had that was like person takes in a name and an ID, that kind of thing?
Yeah, the one that you stepped away from real quick.
Yeah.
Yes. Let me see. Let's see if I can find it.
Hello.
What up to Jay Weasel in the chat?
Weisel.
I mean, in the Zoom.
Yeah.
What's up, dude?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, here you go, Michael.
Okay. So yeah. So see here, between class customer and def initialize, they're not declaring without assigning, right?
Nope.
They're simply declaring it when they're ready to assign it its initial value. So where they have at cust ID, at cust name, at cust address. So just do it inside your initialize method. Does that make sense?
Do we want to pass that in as a parameter so we can create it from inside CLI or no?
It's up to you, man. You're the designer. How do you want game to be used?
I would prefer the random number to be made inside of the game class. I would prefer that to not be seen by CLI.
So here's what I would say too. Your CLI, as you're making this decision, random numbers don't have a whole lot to do with a hangman game. Secret words have a lot to do with a hangman game. So if you were to decide to pass in some kind of parameter when you create your game, I would not recommend passing in a number because it's not really clear what that means. What is clear is passing in a word. So I would say either pass the word in which case your game doesn't need a dictionary, or don't pass it in and have your game responsible for selecting from that dictionary through whatever means it wants to.
Okay. So
Hey, Fido is here. What's up, dude?
What up, motherfuckers? What's up, man?
Okay, so let's do. All right. Why don't we can we just create it inside here then?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay. So why don't we do secret word equals, and we do rand, and then we do and then we pass it rand 25. Right? Oh wait. Secret word's gonna be one of the so there is 25 in there. Okay, secret word is gonna be rand 25. Actually,
It's incredible.
secret word equals, we're gonna have to say at words at the index of rand 25. All right, there we go.
So real quick, right? Let's say, because you're right on this should work, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say that like a week from now, you get feedback from your customers saying, you know what, the game is great, it's awesome, but there's not enough variety because after a week, our players know all the words. So we want to move from 25 words to 1,000 words, right?
So randomly generated words.
Yeah. So you have 25 hard coded here. You probably shouldn't do that.
So that was the thing that I was thinking about at the last episode.
Mm-hmm.
How do we make the program grab?
I mean, we would have to scrape. We would have to scrape words from like the internet somewhere,
like a dictionary.
You could do that if you wanted to. You could also just have a local file that ships with your game that has 50,000 English words in it, right?
That sounds like a pain in the ass.
I mean, I'm not saying you have to create that file.
Fuck.
Yeah, that was an issue that we were running into. So I'm worried about. Okay. So should we now that we're on the topic? Should we handle this now, or handle this when the client comes back and complains to us? So what do you want? What do you think we should do?
Handle it now, I think.
Well, Don't think about money. So, this is just theoretical. Don't think about money. So let's think.
So what I would say is this. Let's say that you knew for certain that when this product ships, you're not going to have a hard-coded list of words in your game class. You're going to separate your data from your business logic, and maybe you're going to load it from a local file. Maybe you're going to load it through a call to a web server. You're going to load it through something external, right?
Yes.
Even if you knew 100% that that's going to be your shipping code, it's not strictly a bad thing that you're doing what you're doing now, because you're providing just enough of what you need. You're putting just enough data there that all of the rest of the business logic you can write out and you can test it, right? So you can have this at word static dictionary baked into your class here, as long as you're cognizant and aware that, okay, I'm doing this now as to hold me over until this point in the future when I'm going to implement the real thing, right? So as long as you're aware of the fact that you're doing this little shortcut to aid your development, I think it's fine, right?
Okay. Let's
but I still don't like your 25 personally.
You think we should do 50?
So here's the thing. What happens if through some accident you just like delete one or two words from your dictionary? you're going to basically have a invalid index, and your program could crash.
Yeah.
Because maybe it picks 24, and you only have 22 words in your dictionary. So just to be on the safe side, you might as well replace 25 with the length of at words at runtime.
That's right. We did that over here. That's right.
Exactly. Yeah. It's the same thing.
We can do that, baby. Let's do it. That's fucking beautiful. I like the way that looks. I'm just kidding. I really don't like the way that the syntax looks, dude.
It's kind of wonky, dude, with all the at symbols.
Yeah, it is. Dude,
it's not very attractive.
Why did we pick Ruby?
You should have went with Python, man.
Yeah, but I already know everyone knows Python. Maybe we could do that next. I don't know. Why did we pick Ruby again?
You know what, Josh? You should have picked Holy C, man. That would have been great.
MVC?
Holy C.
Holy C?
Yeah, you guys haven't heard of that?
We should have just done this. We should have done this in OGC or C++.
OGC?
Let's do OGC.
Holy C.
Let's just do the next one in VB.net. Let's just do the next one in regular VB. Let's do that. I'm kidding. We're not doing that at all. Just fuck that. All right. So we're gonna have to get to that later. But yeah, let's get whatever we have done and let's ship it in a console app, because we were also talking about making this with a UI for on a website later too, right? So I mean, let's get the console app done base level, and then we can load in a file from the buffer, and then just have a file with 50,000 fucking words on it. I don't know how we'll get that file. Maybe we'll scrape it from the internet. I don't know. We'll do that.
Beautiful. We'll trade and barter for it.
Yeah, we can let's actually hire a Ukrainian developer for pennies on the dollar to write that file for us. Everyone okay with that? Yeah. All we have to do is need 33 cents per person. I'm just kidding. That's unethical. That's a very bad thing to do. Okay.
Bro, the market sets its own prices, man.
Yeah, that's true. Dude, they work
unethical.
They work super cheap. I will tell you
if
that.
They're willing to do the work,
Let's make sure that this gives us okay. All right, initialize in game 16. Uninitialized class variable at words. Did you mean at capital words? Yes, I did mean at capital words. Thank you for reminding me. I'm not a smart man. It's just an honest day's work. That's all it is. All right, let's see. Good, there we go. Enter liquid. What? Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay. All right. Sorry, guys. I'm getting a little tipsy here. Enter. All right. Try it again. Date. Okay, beautiful. Drive. Okay, it works. So we have random words being picked from there. And yeah, actually, Michael, you're right. Now, if we just add words here, we don't have to. We don't have to change any. We don't have to change any of this code. We just could literally add words. So I could add.
So beautiful.
Titties in here, and then now this should still run perfectly fine without me having to worry about anything. Where did my command line go? Uh-oh. Exit out. Now I need to get back. CD workspace.
Man, every time I look at the Windows command line, it just makes me cringe. It's really
gross. Dude, it's not nice to develop on a Windows, I'll tell you that much. I'm doing this for the live viewers though. That's why I'm sacrificing myself to stream on a Windows, because my fucking MacBook I can't hard. Do you have a hard line in yours, Michael?
An Ethernet?
Yeah.
Not here. I mean, we have fiber, so I don't really need it.
Yeah, that's what the annoying part, dude. But you can get a Thunderport adapter for
Ethernet? I think for the newer MacBooks you get Ethernet to USB-C.
Okay.
And it just
Why
interfaces
would you not
through that.
Have an Ethernet port on a laptop?
Dude, because really, you got to think, what's the common person using a MacBook? It's not,
I don't know, pornography and
it's Kimberly, the college sophomore who is writing.
Who needs to browse Instagram, or when she's
she's going to get on
college classroom, sitting down and browsing through Amazon.
Right. You think Kimberly is going to Kimberly doesn't even know how to hardline into her computer. She's like, what is this?
But those are the people that end up paying Mike at the end of the day. So.
Hey man, it keeps my lights on.
Keeping the lights on is always the best thing to do. We have 5 people in the chat. Shout out to the chat.
What's up, chat?
Smash like, please.
Please hit the like button.
Smash like if you guys like us getting drunk on screen. I have
I know Josh doesn't have super chat set up, but for every super chat, we'll down one of these Coronas.
I don't have
What kind of wine is that?
That's my pledge.
Josh?
What? What's that
Are
really?
you drinking wine?
Yeah, I'm gonna finish this whole bottle before the stream.
Josh is sophisticated, really.
What kind of wine is that? Hold on.
You missed my wine gizmos, dude. You didn't get to see
I'm gonna praise your wine.
Dude, I have some too, bro.
Salute.
My shit's like $10 though.
Okay, Josh, answer me this question.
I got it at Rite Aid.
Sweet wines or you like dry wines?
I like Cabernet. To be honest with you, baby.
There's like 125 calories per 5 ounces of cab, I think.
Aurelian, you turned 20 like one day ago, dude. You're not supposed to be drinking. What are you doing? What you know about drinking, Aurelian? Don't
chocolate milk only, Aurelian.
That's illegal.
Time in my South American shithole country.
Listen. Here at this
you
channel,
don't have to say that.
we follow the laws. Okay, we disobey the laws.
Laws here.
Every single law, including jaywalking.
YouTube terms of service explicitly states
nobody on this
alcohol
channel
consumption by minors.
On YouTube, just letting you know.
Yeah, don't do drugs, kids, unless
I'm also 6'1".
Unless that drug is Ruby. Okay.
Stay
There
in
you go,
school.
Josh. There you go.
All right, let's focus, guys. Focus, gentlemen. Okay, so what's next? We have all right, we don't need this puts anymore. We know this works. Okay, so now we have our random word. So now we need to say we need the game logic. So make guess. Are we gonna we're only having this make guess function, is what you want to do, Michael?
So real quick, so you have a static class variable called num of guesses, right?
Yes.
And that value 7 is really only true at the very beginning of a game. So it's basically the initial number of guesses, right?
We're gonna have to decrement every time they miss, right?
Yeah. So if you had 3 or 4 different instances of game going on at once, they might be in different states. They might each have a different number of guesses left, right? So you're going to need an instance variable to track the number of remaining guesses if you theoretically wanted to support multiple instances of this class at one time.
Okay, so then I need to add it to the constructor then, right?
No. You don't need it to add it to the constructor because your class is already responsible for defining the initial number of guesses, which is 7, right? What you need is you need to store the number of guesses remaining, which is a value that changes over time, right? And is specific to that particular game instance.
Yeah.
Right. So one option that you have is just like you've declared and initialized an instance variable called @secret_word in your initialize method. You could also declare an instance variable called @number of guesses left or @tries or @something equals @num of guesses, because that will be its initial value.
Okay. So then let's do
There's a small chance that the more alcohol I consume, the more of a dick I become. So I just want to put out a public apology here. So don't take it personally.
Look, listen, there's no apologize.
I love you.
As long you can be as much of a dick as you want, as long as you're not a misogynist, a racist, a sexist, a bigot. As long as you're not any of those things, because we don't like those people.
Acceptable.
We love YouTube.
Right?
We love YouTube.
Susan Wojcinski, I love you, baby. Please boost me in the algorithm. Okay, so
when I said being a dick, what I meant was being mean to racists.
Yes. There you go. Yeah. Let's call it number of guesses left or remaining.
So real quick, so Josh, why are you allowing a caller to pass this into the constructor? Why would a caller want to say, I want to start a new game, but I want to start it with even fewer guesses than I would normally start with?
Yeah, no, we don't want the CLI to be able to do that. So we should just make that a regular variable, correct?
Sure. So you have @secret_word declared and initialized inside of your initialize method, right? So why don't you follow that pattern and initialize a second instance variable called @number_of_guesses_left or something like that?
Yes. And should we, okay, can we just initialize a variable in Ruby and not assign it by just typing the name? Or
so here's a question. Why would you initialize it and not assign it? Because you know what its initial value is going to be, right? It's not a mystery. We know when a player starts a game, how many guesses they start with.
0, right?
No, it's how many so this is a quantity that starts at a certain amount and it gets smaller and smaller until it hits 0, and that's when you die, right?
Yeah. So should we set it equal to num of guesses then? The value of num of guesses?
That's what I would do.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Good. Good. Okay. Cool.
And then num of guesses left is a value. Is that value static or does it change over time?
It's changing over time. It's not static.
But
so
yeah.
let's just call this. Change that, baby. Let's just say num. Should I follow? Fuck it. Of guesses left. Okay. Now we know it's not
11
static.
likes.
Beautiful. Oh my god.
Killing the game.
Smash like, please. Okay, so now we got that.
We only have 4 viewers though.
We have 4 million viewers. What are you talking about?
We're huge.
Probably like 4 of us.
We have 4
Why?
trillion viewers. Jacob, how are you doing, buddy? You doing okay?
Yeah, I'm doing fine.
Did you have something specific you wanted to ask, or what? We didn't mean to come in here and like fucking talk over you.
Yeah, so like I get there's like difference between like the block and inline tags for HTML.
Okay.
But what does setting the display to inline block do? I don't get what that does.
Inline block? Inline dash block?
Yeah. So like in CSS, you set something to display colon inline block.
Isn't that basically, doesn't it inherit both?
So it does both.
Isn't it act like inline and a block as well, Michael?
So if you have something declared as display block, it's going to take up the full width of its parent container, right?
Yeah.
And any content that follows it will appear on a subsequent line, like kind of laid out on the page, right? If you have something declared as inline, which is usually a text element, it's going to appear on the same text line as anything that comes before it and anything after it. And I think you'll notice that if you have a display inline element with some margins, particularly top, bottom, or left and right margins, those properties are more or less ignored. But if you declare something as inline block, it gives you the same controls over margins and padding as a block element, but it still displays things on the same line.
Okay, so it basically you can control whatever, like the sizing or spacing if you
Yeah, so there's going to be certain common CSS properties that you might not see taking effect if it was just display inline. So if you had, let's say, some spans of text and a display inline element after it, if you were to set its width or its height, it could be that nothing happens because it's just treated by the renderer as some text content. But if you were to change it to display inline block, then maybe those width and height and padding and margin properties would start to take effect and kind of behave the way you expect them to.
Okay. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
and then so I'm trying to like work my way. So my end goal is to becoming proficient in React, and my path right now, I'm looking to get mastering HTML, CSS first, and then working to JavaScript and then React, right? And before I get to React, it might be quite a while. So I was wondering what your thoughts on the future of React is. Like, is it worth my time trying to learn it or trying to work towards it, or do you think like it's not going to be future proof, or it's not going to be
why do you think
viable?
why do you think it's going to take a while before you can even get to JavaScript?
Well, it's like I just want to get down to the fundamentals of HTML, CSS first.
Jacob, you already got that down pat, dude. I'm just letting you know. Hey, look, look, hold on. I was hold on, let me put camera on so you can see I'm being serious. Look, you already have HTML. There's like a handful of elements that you're going to use. Okay, and what is HTML? It's just basic elements that you're going to use as a placeholder for what the things that you're displaying on a screen. Correct. So let's just say you know div. Okay, so you know div, you know paragraph, you know headers, you know the root HTML tag, okay, and then if you need to make a new HTML element, if you don't know it, you don't have to have all these things memorized. If you need to come up with like, let's just say you forgot that the button tag was called button, you can just go to Google and type in how do I make a button tag in HTML, and then it'll pop up. HTML and CSS, super simple. And actually, if you actually start using like libraries from CSS, like Bootstrap, you have 90% of the work done for you. Because then, do you know what Bootstrap is?
I think I heard of it. It's like basically pre-made code or something like that.
Yeah. So Bootstrap is a library. Let me see if I can pull one of our class projects up. Let me open up a new instance of Visual Studios.
Jacob, have you been coding since last time we talked?
He has.
I just started about 2-3 weeks ago, like doing it consistently, at least 1 hour a day.
Nice, man. Nice.
Yeah,
Props.
and then I just bought like 4 or 5 Udemy courses because they're only like $15 to $20 each. So I just dropped $100.
And you've been doing tutorials since?
Yeah.
Okay, Jacob. Here's what and Bootstrap's not the only library. Okay, but basically, let's look at this Bootstrap.css class. This is a free open source library that you can import into your project. This is just one of their classes. So as you can see, there's literally like, let's go all the way down. Let's see how many lines of code. So there's almost 10,000. There's 9,030 lines of code. These are all pre-made classes that you can just call upon. So you don't really have to master CSS, okay? And you don't necessarily need to master HTML. Like most of those two things are two simple things. If you forget something, and this is something we talked about a lot in the group, if you forget something, you can always just go ahead and Google it, and just like I said before, if you forgot that a button element is called button, you can Google, there's only a handful of HTML elements that you're going to really use for a website, okay? And as far as like styling goes, Michael, have you ever heard of a CSS engineer?
Dude, they make about 900K out here.
I heard they make RSGP. No, yeah, Jacob, don't worry about HTML and CSS. Get to JavaScript ASAP, because that's actually going to give you some transferable skills from one language to the next. Because CSS, HTML, there's no computational logic in it. It's just like displaying things on the screen in a format and then like editing them. Right. And so then JavaScript's actually going to give you a taste of like the stuff we're doing, like actual logic. So if I were you, I would just go straight to Java. Like you can do it. Like you can just go straight to JavaScript, and then
I'm probably 3/4 of the way done of my HTML CSS Udemy course, and it's going to be touching into some JavaScript and media queries real soon. So after that, I was going to jump into JavaScript.
You want to tell him? You want to say something, Michael?
I would just say, dude, like don't make artificial gates for what you're learning. Like you don't need to. You could study JavaScript to write very complex programs that don't even necessarily run in the browser, right? You could write an adventure game in JavaScript that runs on the command line with Node.js, and you don't have to know anything about HTML or CSS. So I would just say this, like, let's take React, for example, right? Because that's a framework. It supports a lot of different applications and use cases. So it has a lot of different options and features. Instead of taking the stance that you need to have like this level of proficiency in HTML and this level of understanding in CSS before dipping your toe in the water, I would just get started with the, whatever getting started guide or documentation that the React community offers and learn as you go along. And that way you're not over investing time learning things that you thought you had to know to get started, but really you didn't.
Okay. And then Jacob, yeah, dude. So when I started, I was doing HTML and CSS as well. And there was like I kind of did the same thing where I went through like all these tutorials and stuff. But honestly, I would have saved a lot of time if I had just jumped into JavaScript right away, because that's kind of like, that's more heavy duty shit. Oh, sorry, Josh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more heavy duty, and it's good that you dip your feet in, and now you kind of got the feel what it feels like to program. But yeah, man, just jump in. It's always like a good rule of thumb that you don't need to know it all. You just need to know enough, right? That's kind of how I do it, right? And it helps. It honestly helps. What was I gonna say? Yeah. Oh, yeah. For example, like some of the stuff that I learned in HTML and CSS when I first started, dude, I forgot all of that. And it takes like 2 Google searches to remember it. You know what I'm saying? Because you're not really gonna hold it all in your brain either way. So. Yeah.
Do you ever like have times where you ever go back and sharpen up your skills on those like beginning frameworks, I guess?
Yeah, man, dude, look, I'm what am I, like maybe 4 or 5 languages in, and like I still have to go back in HTML and like CSS, like look at the rules all the time. I was doing one project in particular where it was pretty design heavy here recently, and yeah, man, I mean, like all inline block, I was using this thing called flex boxes. I don't know if you've used them before.
Yeah, so I actually looked into that and see the difference between the CSS grid and flex boxes, and like what uses, like what are their advantages and cons, and what context you would use them in.
Yeah, and definitely, I mean, the information is relevant if you really care about like the design elements of the things that you're trying to create, for sure. In terms of like getting you up to speed though, I would take Josh's advice for sure. Yeah, and just like jump into like some heavy duty shit as well, and really kind of test your skills there.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, don't put off starting something because you think your understanding isn't there yet. Like don't avoid a wall before you hit it, so to speak. Because that wall might not actually be there in reality.
It's the wall.
Okay.
Unless you're 30.
Wing.
Wing.
Unless you're 30,
nothing for us.
Then you have my express permission. Hit that wall, baby. Full speed.
I guess I'm just trying to like understand like at least 60 or 70% of something before I move on to the next thing.
I think the best way of learning to understand things is to just throw yourself into the water and take the plunge. Like when you're actively building something, that's when you kind of put everything together in your head, because that's what matters in the end, not the amount of information that you can store away in your mind, right? But how you can apply it.
Okay.
100%. Hey, Jacob, do you have an idea in your head of something that you want, like a web app that you want to build with React?
Well, I don't really know what the uses of React is. I just know that as far as like the past 5 years, looking on Google Trends, it's doing better than Angular. So
yeah, well, even putting the specific frameworks or the implementation aside, if you think about web apps that you've used or like just shit you thought was cool that you've encountered in the last couple of years, like if you were just like black belt with all this stuff, what would you build? What would you want to build? Would you build like an HTML5 game? Would you build like a social network front end? Like what would you be interested in?
As far as like building stuff for, I think for like entrepreneurs making like those store sites, right? Kind of like John or Charlie, how they have their sites. They'd be pretty interesting to or pretty cool to design or optimize their front end or their UI UX, you know.
Yeah, for sure. And they have like some I think Charlie has PayPal integration on his site. for signing up. I know John has like some WordPress stuff for access to the webinars.
Yeah. Because I think the future is going to be like people like John and Charlie, where people are going to be stepping away from like these big corporate, corporations and becoming self-employed. So they're going to need somebody to design a website. I mean, if they don't want to go through like the no code kind of fucking path, you know, using Shopify and shit.
Yeah.
If we can
Like
live in a future where
Dreamweaver.
WordPress stops being a thing, that'll be a good future.
Just
there
kill
is no
PHP
future.
altogether.
There is no hope. The only future, look, the world's about to end in about approximately 3.14 apple pie days, okay? And then once we're at what, today's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday and a half, okay? Then the world's going to end and the only future left is going to be Ruby. So we have to get this Ruby done.
We
because
have
point,
to
Josh.
learn.
if we don't,
I
then we're
almost
screwed.
forgot.
Thank you for the opening thoughts.
We spent 2 hours reading Ruby documentation about them telling us how great of a language it was.
Yeah. They were talking a big game.
I'm gonna be honest, dude. I'm not impressed. I really don't see this as like, if I were to make an enterprise application, I wouldn't use this. What do you think?
Enterprise application.
What are
What do
the
you mean by
advantages
enterprise
of using it?
application?
Like, honestly, what do you think the advantages of using it are at this point?
If me personally, if you're a lazy coder and you like to expressly type things, I guess I don't know.
Yeah, but
As
for
a
that
development
you
spread?
just use Python.
Even Python's less expressed than this, dude. Python's like a little bit more tightly coupled. Let me see, what is made in Ruby? What applications?
Is Ruby almost so expressed that it feels like it's leaving a part of the logic out when you write it?
Yes, I feel like
I feel like that's been my experience with it.
So it's too informal for you guys.
Look at all the problems we've had so far. Just making, dude. You know how quick this could have been done in like C# or like Swift or like fucking Java. This could have been done in like fucking 2 seconds. Let's see. Famous.
Don't
web
start
app-
pointing us in the direction of Java, Josh. I understand the point you're trying to make, but come on, man. Be a
Isn't
force
that
of
a
good in
mess
this
of a
world.
language?
Let's make a spring. Okay, Airbnb is made in Ruby apparently. I guarantee you they're
GitHub.
Ruby on Rails. which
Yeah,
is
it's
the,
Rails. Yeah, but still.
What the hell is that called?
My
Framework.
Fitness Pal. No, My Fitness Pal was made in C#. It's made in .NET.
Fiverr. There's your favorite website, Josh.
Is it really? I don't.
Reads.
I wish you didn't
Ask.fm,
see this.
GitHub.
I can't unsee what I've seen now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So I guess
Maybe-
Ruby's awesome then. Great.
Yeah,
Cool.
maybe your problem is like you have Ruby, right? But it's not on some Rails. You might have to take your Ruby and put it on some Rails.
LOL.
But listen, we had to get the Ruby down first, so that's why we're just doing just regular Ruby.
Somebody
What's
needs to
difference
take the
between
Ruby out of
Ruby on
Rails. So you just have Rails.
This is.
The Ruby is slowing the Rails down.
Oh no, I'm just.
Would you like Python on Rails?
What's the difference
so
between Ruby
have
and
the,
Ruby on Rails?
We
Rails
took care
is
of
the
the secret
framework.
word, number of guesses. Now we need to actually implement game logic, right?
The difference is that it's on Rails, Jacob. What don't you understand?
My bad. My bad.
Rails is the framework, Jacob. Ruby's the language.
It's like the Django for Python.
Okay.
Django.
All right,
and-
Josh. So what's our next step here in Ruby land?
Okay, so I
Converting
guess
this into Python. 'cause that'd be much better.
Good call. Good call.
I guess we just
I'll write it for you. in Python. Fuck.
now we need to just basically write the logic for user. We need to select a word.
Mhm,
Okay, so we can
mhm.
just take secret word, and then we need to say to the user, "Here's your word. Here's the length of the word that you have." Okay, so we actually need secret word dot length.
So we need a function that counts the length of the word. That's
Well,
being
do we,
used.
or are we going to do this all in the make guess function?
So I have a question. So why does your game need to provide the length of the word being guessed?
Because we need to know how many letters is in that word.
I'm going to be guessing.
Right. So your CLI, which is just one implementation of a GUI, needs to be able to basically respond to the user's guess, or I guess before or after. It needs to display what how much of the word has been guessed, right? So it's going to have like probably some underscores, which is how we're going to represent letters that haven't been guessed yet, and some letters that have been guessed, right?
Yep, we'll do underscores.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I would propose is every time make guess gets called, and then probably for initialize as well, you want to return some kind of state representation of your game to anyone using the class, including your CLI class. And then that can be in some kind of representation, and your callers, like your CLI.rb, can take that representation and represent it themselves however they want, right? So for example, your CLI.rb might take an incomplete word, or like the state of what's been guessed so far, and display every unguessed position as an underscore and every guessed position as the lowercase version of that letter, right? So you start your game, you might have underscore, 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 right, for the length of your word, or you might not display any partial game until the user's made one guess, right? So you start your game, the initialize thing runs, you instantiate your game class, and then you simply have a player prompt that says enter a guess, right? Until they enter their first guess, you don't have kind of like any representation of the game state. It's just, maybe it tells you how long. Do players need to know up front how long the word is that they're guessing? Or is that information only useful kind of after they've made guesses, where they have this rendering of the incomplete word?
They need to know it after the secret word is selected from this line 16, and then I guess I guess I would like them to know when they're prompted. I want it to prompt them and be like, here's your word. Mm-hmm. And it basically just have underscore, 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 and then be able to see a visual representation of, like, let's say it's a 5-letter word, so 5 underscores.
Okay.
But before that, no, they don't need to know before that. Just only when it's time to guess for that word.
Yeah. Okay. So in that case, probably what I would do is I would have a public method in your game class that your callers can call, and it returns some data representation of the state of your game. So that could be a data structure, anything really. And then your CLI.rb class inside of its game loop, right? Before calling make game.makeGuess, it would call something like game.getGameState. And then your CLI.rb class would interpret that game state somehow and output a visual representation of the game state that is intuitive to the player.
Okay. We should put another function inside CLI for that as well then, right?
Well, it depends. So can you show us where your game loop is? Because I assume that when CLI.rb is run, is that just one game and then the program exits, or does that allow the player to keep playing more games?
Good question. So I was trying to work on that last episode, but I couldn't figure out what to do. So what I did was, if you look over here from like this if branch over here, I wanted to put this inside of a while and basically say, while that begin game, or while the I'll say it in English. While the user is entering in what they want to enter in, run these. Once the user types in enter or begin or whatever, or exit, then we can exit the loop. So
sure. So what I would do is this: does Ruby have any concept that's equivalent to a do while loop?
Let's find out. Do while Ruby.
Aurelian, is that your cat?
Yes.
That's a big cat, dude.
That is a big cat.
Is that a goddamn Sphinx? What do you call those big cats from fucking Africa? They're like fucking Bengals. Look at this shit. Giant.
Damn, she thick.
All right, look at this. Look at these fucking cats, dude. My mom used to have one of these. These things are fucking huge, dude.
They're huge, bro. Look at that.
What the
Look
fuck?
at this one, dude. This dude's fat as hell. Look at this dude. Look at this guy. It was a cool cat, and then it became an outside cat because I got a dog, and then it got scared when outside, and then now their neighbor owns it, which is funny.
Dude, that cat will jack up some birds, bro.
His name is
sure.
Mufasa. I'm not sure if he's still
Mufasa.
That cat's as big as this little girl, dude. That's funny.
Damn, dude.
He looked just like this guy right here. Literally,
Yeah,
just
he's
like
pretty big.
he looked just like that dude. Where's he at? Where you at, Mufasa? There he is. There's Mufasa. That's him.
It's like
dude.
the size of a dog.
Yeah, basically, dude. He was a big cat. All right. Okay, where are we at? Okay, do while. So we have while. Let's see. Control F, do while. Okay, here we go. Do while loop. It's similar to the while loop with the only difference that it checks the condition after executing the statements, i.e., it will execute the loop body one time for sure. It is an exit controlled loop because it tests the condition which presents at the end of the loop body. So let's see. Loop do code to be executed. Break if Boolean expression end. Here, Boolean expression will result in either true or false output, which is created using comparison operators. Okay, we already know what those are. You can also use multiple Boolean expressions within the parentheses, which will be connected through logical operators and, or, and not. So here's an example. Okay, loop do, put geeks for geeks, value equals 7. Using Boolean expression, if value equals 7, break. Okay, end. Okay, so end of do. Okay, so this is basically the syntax we need. Let me copy this and then we can just like format it because I'm going to forget that in a second. So let's see. We do loop do. Let me move this end over here. Okay, so do, and inside here we want to say use this code.
That's right.
Okay. Let's see. So do. We can get rid of that value equals 7. Do
Say what?
here. So basically, if, and now I want to say if begin.
Oh, Rafe is in the Zoom.
Yep.
Who dat? What?
Salute to the general.
Who's in here? Who dat?
The wise man himself.
Mr. Wraith. What's going on, Wraith? What are you up to?
What's up, Wraith?
Not
Feel
equal.
free to use your webcam if you want.
Begin game.
Building some hangman.
I
Dot
might be trying to
to
configure it.
string.
Mhm.
Let's say it does not equal. Can I say nil? Actually, I need to do empty string. Okay. So
That's
this
weird. That's weird that the condition is written at the end of the loop.
Yeah, isn't that? That's weird as hell.
Yeah.
I kind of like that though, but I kind of also don't. I don't know. It kind of makes me feel uncomfortable. It makes me feel scared. What are we gonna do? You know what else?
Ruby. Oh, Ruby.
You know what else? I was thinking the other day. I forgot. It fucking.
We're
The
gonna wait
city
till
fuck that I live in. Tomorrow we'll worry about that later. Good night, gentlemen. I'm gonna actually. You know
Pass
what?
out.
I can't end the stream. Wait, I can. I can stop live stream.